find yourself endlessly weighing options, rereading emails, or maybe reworking your strategy, but you still can't seem to move forward in certain key areas? My name is Elyssa Smith, and I'm a trauma informed executive coach. And if you are struggling in any of these areas, today's episode of the Unlock Your Blocks podcast is just for you. Today, we're going to be exploring why overthinking isn't actually laziness or a lack of clarity, but it's your nervous system signaling danger. So there are a few different places that this can come from. You kind of have to understand the roots of it so that you can change the direction of the brain pathways and move away from this spiral. So there are lots of reasons that can be uncovered in childhood about why you overthink, why you stay stuck, why you go in a spiral when you're about to move forward. Maybe you even have all of your strategy planned out. You know exactly how you're going to move forward, and you get to this place and then you start second guessing yourself. So, if you grew up in a family where mistakes were criticized or you felt abandoned when you didn't do things perfectly, you're going to have developed a type of perfectionism that doesn't really allow you to move forward when the risk seems too great. And it could be very specific. I have some clients who specifically when they have imposter syndrome because of their business, maybe that, the women that I work with that are CEOs have particular visibility risks that other people might not struggle with. And for whatever reason, maybe that's a real issue for you if you own a business or if you are trying to put yourself out there for a promotion at work. Maybe it comes around socially. So at some point in your childhood, you learned that it wasn't acceptable to do things wrong. You may also have had evidence from your caregivers or from the adults in your life that you were watching and who are taking care of you, that excessive over planning and sort of hesitation to move forward in anything that feels unknown, anything that feels unknown, that was maybe shown to you as the safe way to navigate risk. So you wouldn't have any other resiliency tools that make it possible for you to move forward when there's the risk that you might do it wrong. I'm doing air quotes, or might make a mistake. You also you also may have experienced that hypervigilance, while now it probably plagues you if you deal with it, but perhaps as a child, that hypervigilance made you feel more in control. Like you could prepare for bad scenarios that came along. Maybe it made you feel more prepared in general. If you just, I was constantly as a little girl scanning the horizon for whatever the next bad thing was that could be happening so I could be as prepared as possible. It was a really controlling instinct, but your survival instincts are great in that time period. They are meant to get children through whatever comes at them. It's just when we get imprinted with these ways of thinking and it starts to get in your way as an adult, that's when we get a chance to rewire it. So, looking at second guessing and how it causes problems. So, we've already talked about the fact that you might not be able to move forward, but this also has some other ways that you can tell if this is affecting you. If you have an overthinking cycle that is actually getting in your way, you might notice that you are missing deadlines because you just can't bring something to completion because the risk or the resistance is too great. Maybe you're stalling on decisions that you know you need to make. Maybe there's important. Now, obviously, we have important versus urgent, right? So, important decisions often go to the back burner when we get stuck in an overthinking cycle, whereas urgent decisions that don't have as much impact or as much steering of the direction of our lives and of our businesses and careers, that actually we will be like, oh, I need to do this, really minute thing because it's really urgent today and because it feels manageable. And I'm going to put off that decision about the business strategy or the strategy for how I want to change and shift my lifestyle. We might also find ourselves in a pattern of seeking external validation instead of depending on what comes from inside of us. Not that it's bad to ask for advice, but to give you an example, I have one client who her whole goal in coming to work with me is she said, I want to be able to decide what I want and need for myself. Because she had always, historically, as a child, she had only been safe when she had like sort of a critical mass of the people around her that said, okay, yes, she was sort of crowdsourcing her decisions. And she was doing that into adulthood, which is not a healthy way to operate as an adult. And it's really exhausting to try and make sure that you're doing what everyone else thinks you should do all the time. And it just doesn't work. So you end up in burnout. And she was just in this incredibly deep burnout when we started working together. And our goal was, let's bring back that internal validation so you don't get stuck second guessing, going around in a loop, in an emotional trigger loop sometimes just because she needed someone else to tell her that she was okay. That comes from this survival instinct to overthink and make sure that you're not making the wrong choice and that people aren't upset and that they're not going to abandon you and you get kicked out of the tribe and you get eaten by a predator. That's what your nervous system thinks is happening every time it thinks you're going to make a mistake. It thinks you are going to be isolated and unsafe if you mess up. So better not make any moves. You can get stuck in a freeze cycle really, really quickly that way. Another thing you might notice is that anxiety and overwhelm pop right up the second that something high stakes is there at risk. So, if there's a high stakes action needed, the frustration that you can end up having at yourself for not moving forward when you know how important this next move is can really be crippling. You also might just realize I'm kind of stuck at this current level of success. Like, this is good, but I know that there's more. And I can't quite get there unless I can beat whatever it is that keeps me in this self doubt, second guessing spiral. So, what can we do with the nervous system, with the body? It's actually a lot simpler than it feels. It feels really unending when you're in that cycle and you're just like, I cannot get out of this. But I'm going to give you some tools right now and some tips to help you step out of that spiral and to get out of the overthinking process. So, the overthinking and second guessing loop comes with a body sensation. You may or may not have noticed this before, but I want you to look for it. Next time you notice, and even right now, if you can kind of think of that thing that you know that you're second guessing or that you know that you need to move forward on and you don't know why you're not, I want you to think about that thing and I want you to sense in your body, what are you feeling? Is there a place in my body I can feel tension or tightness or, heaviness or discomfort of some sort? And when you can notice that, you have so much good information and you'll be able to watch for it in future as you move forward. So once you know what it feels like in your body when it's happening, you can see it a lot quicker. When you see it, you'd start with the first S in my 3S framework, which is safety. You take those 3 deep breaths. After 3 deep breaths, your nervous system kind of starts to understand you must not be running from a wild animal because you stopped and breathed slow. This will buy you a few minutes of maybe some executive level, higher level thinking, your higher level decision making, feeling a little more sane. Your body will relax a little bit if you take those 3 deep breaths. Okay. You want to break down the action at this point. So you've calmed your body for a second. You've got your brain back for a moment after you take your breaths. You want to then take the task that feels overwhelming. Maybe it's a small thing, but it feels really scary. And I want you to put some support around that task. Whether that means you break it down into an even tinier bite sized baby step, or if that means that you actually get someone to kind of body double you. If you know this concept of body doubling, like maybe you need someone to come and meet with you in a co-working space or one of your coworkers to come and sit in your office with you so that you can do this task that's been on your list and you haven't been able to move forward yet. Your system needs to know you're going to have safe support no matter what. So, when you break things down into smaller pieces or when you get the support that you need, it makes it more tolerable to your system for you to do new things. We are trying to expand into a place where your nervous system doesn't see peace and stillness and success as threats, but it sees those things as a key part of staying safe. So it starts to seek out rest. It starts to seek out the next level of abundance or the next level of success as the place where you feel safe. So that's the end goal. Long term, to get you there more efficiently, you want to go back to those childhood moments where you started to get those messages that you're going to be criticized if you make a mistake, that you are not a reliable person to make your own decisions. Whatever the messaging was for you, once you uncover the original messaging, you can actually rewire all the brain patterns that are unhelpful that came out of that. So every survival pattern that you had when you were little, thank God for that. That was exactly what you needed to get you to where you are now. If you hold on to those things, you're not going to make it to that next level. What got you here will not get you to the next level. So keep that in mind that you can actually rewire those things and stop dealing with the loop of like overthinking, overthinking, do the thing, feel better. Overthinking, overthinking, do the thing, feel better. You can get out of that whole loop. You can stop it altogether by rewiring the root beliefs. So if you're a woman and you would like to do that with me, I would love to have a 15-minute chat with you. It's completely free. We will identify together where these roots are in that 15 minutes, and then we'll have lots of options with where you can go, lots of resources, directions, and if you want to work together with me, you can explore what that looks like. I hope this was helpful for you today, and I hope that you'll take such good care of yourself until I see you next time.